One of the best things about Mario Odyssey is all the kingdoms that you explore along your adventure. From Metro, to Lost, to Wooded, to Luncheon, to Sand, to Lake, to Snow, these kingdoms absolutely make this game. So, today we're gonna rank them and find out which is the best one. And I'm considering it to be a kingdom if it has the word kingdom in the name of it. So sorry Dark Side and Darker Side, but these are more like bonus challenges rather than full out kingdoms anyways, so I don't think it'd make much sense to rank them here. If you've been watching these videos for a while, you'll know that I cover a bunch of different video game topics with some interesting special effects to accompany them. So hit subscribe if you want to see more of these style videos because I have plenty of ideas for the future. So let's start off this odyssey of a ranking video. Alrighty, so a pretty big ranking here with 15 different kingdoms that we're gonna look at, and listen, some surprises will come on later in the video, but for now, I think it's pretty obvious that Cloud Kingdom is the worst one. And this is because it's barely a quote-unquote kingdom at all. Basically, this place just acted as the boss arena for one of the Bowser fights in the story. And then they just added a few moons to it after you come back here. And yeah, they're alright, but there's not too many of them, so there's really nothing else to do here. Plus the visuals, everything is the same texture and color, it's just clouds everywhere. Yeah, okay, so before I go to sleep here, let's move on. Okay, so based on my logic from the Cloud Kingdom, I think it would only make sense that the next one would be the Ruined Kingdom. This place is basically the same deal as Cloud Kingdom. It mainly just acted as another boss arena. I did like the boss here quite a bit though, so that does bring this kingdom up a little bit. Plus the aesthetics of this place are awesome. It's got this whole Castlevania vibe. Like, I just want to explore this place. But again, there's barely any moons here and barely anything to do. So that's once again the issue with this place. Alrighty, let's move on to some real kingdoms now, eh? Okay, with those out of the way, now I think we need to start moving on to the more serious kingdoms. And it's only fitting that we start with the very first kingdom of the game. Yes, Cap Kingdom. I love how it immediately shakes up the norms of Mario right away when you first start playing the game. It doesn't start in yet another grass world, but instead you're in this somewhat unsettling place, but it's still kinda cozy in its own right. Yeah, I guess the locals are obsessed with hats here, or their bodies are just made out of them. I don't know, not really explained, but I like the vibe of this whole place. With the thick fog, dark colors, that all contrast nicely with the bright moon in the sky. Plus the intro to the frog capture was pretty entertaining here, albeit for only a short while. But okay, the reason it's so low is that it still can feel more like tutorial land sometimes. There's not that much to do or explore in this place, so a lot of the moons you'll just be flying around in the fog as a Paragoomba. I get it, it's not supposed to be a supermassive kingdom or anything, it's just a great intro, but the others on this list have a lot more going for them. Alrighty, so even this early on in the list, we're already getting into it. We're already gonna be talking about water levels. And for me, the lesser of the two is gonna be Lake Kingdom. First of all, what a gorgeous kingdom this ever is. And Nintendo knows it too, those sneaky guys. They made this place specifically to look good. Everything is all sparkly and shiny, the water ripples make little rainbows, like what is this, oil? And then there's this really pretty wedding veil under the water with all these rainbow fish swimming around. Seriously, what a shot. A Mario underwater level has never looked this good. I like this whole underwater dome concept too. It's like Star Wars Episode 1, and it makes it seamless to enter these areas. And then this place introduces the cheap capture ability. And no, I'm not talking about a capture ability that doesn't cost much, I'm talking about playing as a fish. It's got some pretty solid underwater controls with this thing. However, most of this kingdom just centralizes around this little underwater area. This place feels kinda tiny and enclosed. Maybe it's the cliffs, but it doesn't feel as open as the other kingdoms. Yeah, so a lot of this kingdom is just rummaging around these underwater caves, which isn't the most engaging gameplay, I'll say that. Not bad, but the others are definitely better. So in this story, when you think you're gonna finish the game and battle Bowser for the final time at the very end of Bowser Kingdom, he pulls the rug under you and flies to the final main kingdom of the game, the moon. And okay, literally the first thing you'll notice when you get there is that you have moon physics. I mean, rightfully so, you're on the moon, but how was I supposed to know? I thought this was gonna be like Mario Galaxy. But man, this feature is so much fun to play around with in this place. Like, this area is not even that big, but I still had a blast doing some like super long jumps and all these tricks and whatnot. And then you find the frog and... damn, you go really high. However, there isn't that much to do out here on the surface, unfortunately, so a lot of the stuff to do takes place inside the moon, which is more like a traditional lava level. Without any moon physics either. What? I was enjoying that. Okay, to be fair, this is actually a really fun final platforming section that combines a bunch of different elements together, but it would have been way cooler if it had moon physics here and just spread out the platforms really far. Also, the ending of this game in Moon Kingdom was a pretty awesome set piece. Overall though, this place is alright. The next kingdom is one that I see a lot of people don't really like, and I kinda see why, but I still think that I enjoy it more than the most. And I'm talking about Snow Kingdom. This place has a great intro to it. You just get there and you're wondering what is going on in this area. It honestly feels pretty eerie for Mario Odyssey standards. You can barely see, no one is around, and there's no music either. So you just explore this snow mound, drop into this giant hole, and see this cute little town here. It looks like the locals live in these underground snow forts out here to get out of the cold, and I don't know, that adds a lot of great atmosphere and world building here. And then this kingdom is really broken up by all these doors that lead to a bunch of different platforming challenges. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but I really like these bouncy ball snowman sections. It's actually a fun little minigame to play here, and it's like these guys' entire culture revolves around this weird ass sport. However, it is a bit segmented, this place. That's one of the issues with it. That, and it has pretty generic theming. It's just a snow level. Like most of the other kingdoms have some sort of twist to the generic levels. And to be fair, this one does have this town, which is pretty awesome. But when you literally go outside of this little area, it becomes pretty boring to look at. That being said though, I still enjoyed my time in this place. Now let's talk about the main man himself, the man of the hour. No, not Mario, the groom, Bowser, because of course he has an entire kingdom named after him, because why not? First of all, I love the style here. I would never thought that Bowser and samurais would work so well together, but hey, here we are. It feels like you're right back in ancient Japan. Well, Mario Ancient Japan, that is. And I also really like the capture ability here. This is almost my favorite capture in the game. But don't you worry, I'll still get onto my favorite capture later on in this video. It's these little woodpecker birds. You literally just climb with your beak by pecking the wall. What a concept. This is actually a really fun and engaging way to climb these things. Better than Assassin's Creed. You heard me say it. And then the finale that this world builds up to is what you think would be the final battle, but Bowser just leaves for the moon, and then you have to fight the bunnies in their final form. This is probably the stupidest looking boss I've seen in my life. Who would have thought putting a box on legs would be good design? But fortunately, this battle actually plays out really well, and it's a great fight. My only problem with this place really is how linear and segmented it all feels. It's like a traditional Mario 3D World level, which is great playing in this style for the first time, but coming back and exploring feels more awkward now. Especially when huge chunks of this level are separated with these large voids. But don't get me wrong though, this is still one of the better Bowser worlds. Okay, so now let's look at the place that's gotta be the hardest kingdom to find, because even the title of this area is called Lost Kingdom. You know, all those planes and other vehicles that just go missing? Well, they all end up here, and so did Mario with the Odyssey. Yeah, quite the unique intro for this kingdom, seeing as you don't land here, but rather crash land here. And then shortly after, your hat gets stolen, so you have to play a short section without your main platforming moves. I kinda wish this hatless section was longer though and lasted the entire kingdom, but this was still an interesting change of pace here. And honestly, that is a term I would use to describe this entire area. An interesting change of pace. You're not looking to stop Bowser or fight the bunnies in this place, you just want to get the heck out of here. So this place just has this like mysterious vibe to it that I kinda like. Plus I love the capture ability here. It's these little accordion caterpillars. It was so much fun to like platform with these things. You actually had a lot of control with how you turn their bodies to aim for the different tree stubs. So this kingdom had some really cool gameplay concepts too. The next kingdom certainly left an impact when you first enter it. This was your first taste of Mario Odyssey, and what the taste that this ever was. It's the Cascade Kingdom. When you first face planted in this kingdom, took your first step, heard that music, you just knew, okay? You just knew that this game was gonna be an adventure. Plus, I love how the main set piece looks here. It's this grand waterfall, a cascade if you will, that is coming out of some giant dinosaur fossils. So this place is clearly about dinosaurs, but then they immediately take it a step further and let you play as a dinosaur, and your mind is like already blown 2 seconds into this kingdom. Okay, maybe not, because they did show this in all the trailers, but for the people who didn't watch them, this is what I assume you were thinking. Yeah, you know, this isn't the largest kingdom or anything, but what it does have included are all really fun moons to collect. There's a few platforming challenges and some really great secret areas that all present some pretty interesting scenarios for the player to traverse. This kingdom was a great first impression of this game. Now it's actually getting pretty hard to decide the ranks here, and that's just because the rest of these entries are all phenomenal areas in this game. But the one I'm putting at this spot is Mushroom Kingdom. Just when I thought the game was over and done with surprises, it pulls this on you. What a great ending, bonus worlds, whatever you want to call it. This place is just packed with fan service from Mario 64. Obviously, the main part is the castle from Mario 64. Then the costume here is literally just low poly Mario. And when you get a moon, they play the Mario 64 star jingle too. There's so many little details and references in this kingdom, it's awesome. And when I stepped into Peach's castle for the first time and heard that classic music, oh, such a great thing to hear. Also, you just find Yoshi chilling on the roof in the same spot he was in Mario 64. Then you can capture him too and use a bunch of really cool abilities. Like, what a bold move to just throw him in the post-game world. He wasn't even in the main game at all. And since this is like a bonus kingdom of sorts, they could also put in a bunch of really hard platforming challenges here, which I definitely liked. You know, there isn't too much to explore or do in this kingdom, but what it does have is an absolute treat. Plus, Mario 64 is like my favorite Mario game, so I'm a sucker for that. Now we have the place that everyone travels to when they're hungry, Luncheon Kingdom. Basically, a place that's made and run by food. There's tomato enemies, corn wheels, the main town is just stacks of vegetables, and overlooking this entire kingdom is a giant soup on a mountain. Plus, I think all the lava surrounding this place is supposed to be like hot soup or something. Either that or Pepto-Bismol. Honestly, not a huge fan of how this place looks really. I like the food theme, sure, but this whole low poly, minimalistic style kinda contrasts weird with the rest of the game. Looks even worse than the Mario Kart 8 DLC. Oh, shots fired! Okay, that's a joke. It doesn't look that bad. But what I am a fan of here is the gameplay in this kingdom. Man, you could just swim around this lava in a Mario game. Just what a fun thing to do. And then there's even like lava platforming when you're as this capture as well. The Hammer Bros are fun too. The way you just cut up the cheese is pretty satisfying. And then there's actually quite a bit of platforming up these mountains in this place, which was always a good time here. Yeah, really, they just have a bunch of fun ways to travel around this kingdom and a lot of cool landscapes to climb up. Okay, now we have the most unusual kingdom when it was first shown off, because you had Mario talking next to regular humans. And of course, I'm talking about the Metro Kingdom. It is an absolute joy to explore this place. It's not even that big of a kingdom, but it's one of the most dense with stuff to do. You know, there's always some guy who needs help or some moon hidden somewhere. And this kingdom probably has some of the most grand sequences in the entire game. It starts with this place being all rainy and dark as you fight this giant robot caterpillar like, what is this, Godzilla? And then at the end of this kingdom, you got this awesome Broadway musical sequence, and you get to listen to this great song whilst platforming a traditional 2D Mario level. Plus, this is the most vertical kingdom in this game too. Like, you know, you gotta explore upwards, not just sideways. There is something just really fun about trying to scale these buildings with Mario's moveset. And once you get to the top and overlook your city, it feels like you're Batman or something. And of course, there's a moon on the very top of Empire State. I didn't even know it was up there, I just wanted to explore. It's cool how this place is grounded in the real world. I'd like to imagine myself just going for a stroll in my city and then witnessing this Italian man swinging on streetlights all cranked up on G Fuel or something. Yeah, you know, there's just something about Mario being in the real world that makes it very interesting to play through this place. The next kingdom here actually has a pretty cool concept for a setting in a Mario game. I mean, what's not to love about the Wooded Kingdom? I like how it's not just a typical generic forest level, but by the looks of it, it's this old rundown factory that has been overrun by plants, which creates a forest. It was actually based on this movie from the 70s called Silent Running, where it took place in this giant greenhouse dome in space, and that's a lot like the skybox of this kingdom. Plus, the locals in this kingdom look like the robots in that film too. It makes you think, what is this place that you're exploring? Is this some sort of dystopian future version of Mario in a giant greenhouse? Probably not, but this place has some really cool atmosphere. The gameplay is really fun here too. You get this awesome new plant capture. That may not sound too intimidating, but this guy actually made it a lot more fun to climb up this place. And yeah, honestly, that was just a great part of this area too. Simply climbing up and discovering new areas in this giant factory. There's even secret areas to find, like the deep woods that has this like dinosaur jump scare. Whoa! I love the amount of secrets in this place, and just adventuring around here in general. This world truly had it all. Here we go, just down to these two places. And oddly enough, they both involve a lot of sand in their kingdoms. But regardless, the number 2 spot is gonna be Sand Kingdom. I absolutely love the scale of this place. This is the biggest kingdom in terms of size. Is that a fair statement to make? I don't even know, but damn man, I just had so much fun traversing this massive desert. There are plenty of different areas to discover here, like some challenges in dark caves, some invisible bridge place, or even a hidden oasis. But this desert also had a lot of dead space, with nothing really happening in it. You might see this as a bad thing, but with Mario's moveset, it was actually really fun to traverse these hills by using momentum and sliding down them to go to your next destination. And then there's a lion taxi too, so use that if you want. But I think the downtime in these more empty areas really just adds to the scale of this place. And I really like the little Mexican town hub here. The buildings look awesome, and it's cool to see where the locals all live. Then there's the many different sub-areas with a totally different atmosphere because they're all super cold and underground. This just really contrasts well with the hot outside. And it all ends with a boss battle that's gotta be a reference to Mario 64, but this time you can control his hands and punch him in the face. Epic. So my favorite place here is Seaside Kingdom. What a kingdom, what an absolute kingdom that this ever is. It's gotta be like the perfect balance of above and underwater sections, and I didn't even know that I even wanted these underwater sections. There are a lot of underwater areas that are close to the surface, so you can still keep your bearings while looking around, but then there's these deep trenches where you can totally get lost in and explore this completely different underwater world. And obviously the captures here make traversal a lot easier. You have the fish for underwater, and on the surface we got my favorite capture in the game, this squid guy in a water bubble, whatever he's called. With this guy, you can literally zoom around the surface or even like fly in the air across this kingdom. Such great controls with this thing. Air maneuverability was so smooth. And I love how he just sounds like you're operating a turret here. Seaside is quite a large kingdom too, which I really like because there's so much to explore. But that is also why this capture complements this area so well, because it would be super slow to get around without it. This place has everything you want in a kingdom. Great atmosphere, lots of hidden places to discover, and a unique way of moving around. So let me know how you would rank these kingdoms in the comments, and I will see you guys later.